So all 4 of our subscribers, you now know
we are live.
You are in the know crowd. All 4 of our subscribers, 2 of which are sitting here. We're live now. Will we be able to see if somebody jumps on?
I don't
No.
know.
Okay.
Okay.
So, are we recording yet?
Yeah, it's like live. We've been live for 20 seconds.
So it's live.
Yeah.
But when we put it on the recording or when we put it on the podcast, are they going to be like, is this guy just going to... I'm doing that right now, aren't I?
Welcome to the Matt and Cody show. Today's guest, we have Cole Burks. Cole Burks, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man, I'm Cole.
What's up, Cole?
I live in Knoxville. I'm a youth pastor at Hope Unlimited Church in Knoxville, Tennessee, and man, that's what I do.
And he has an awesome podcast called The Cole Hard Truth.
Yeah, go check it out.
What's way cooler than our name?
What's the Cold Hard Truth about?
Dude, anything and everything. It's basically, I like to talk a good bit about leadership stuff on there. I just feel like that's the world I'm in the most, and really what the world that I'm in needs the most, if that makes sense. It's like, I guess the church world for so long, we've got the the presence of God thing right, but it's the leadership role is just horrific. It's the leadership, I guess, frame of mind that we're in as a whole is like the weirdest thing in the world. It's like read any leadership book and do the exact opposite, and that's the frame of mind that I feel like we're in all the time.
I could totally see that inside the church and like with religious stuff, and then also like we're a small business podcast, like small business stuff, like some of the businesses that I've been a part of where I wasn't the leader, or even some of the ones that I have, I can't brag. Like some we're still struggling with figuring some of the leadership stuff out with just myself. But I don't think I think you're right. Read John Maxwell or some of these other guys, and it's completely backwards.
Yeah. Most of the time, I think you see you see companies who do things well, and then you go read like John Maxwell or someone like that, just using his name for a reference. He is the leadership guru.
Sure, he's the guy.
And you go read his books, and then you're like, oh, that's how those people are successful.
Right. Yeah.
So what's successful? Like, what's success mean to you? Like, I know you're in the church, you're a pastor. My success idea is probably different from yours. So what do you see success as?
Well, like I am a student pastor, but I work in sales as well. Okay. So, successful, I think anytime you can add value to people and the people around you, I think that's you being successful. And that can look very different, right? Like that that can look different for different people. But I think to sum it up, like me and my wife, when we first got married, we kind of said something like, we want to be people who add value to other people.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that too.
And it's just like, working in the sales world, it's like I provide a service that takes companies to the next level. And it's like that service is the value that I'm adding.
Can you talk about what you sell or what you do? Or is it kind of
What
do you do? I don't even know.
So I work for Fastenal.
Okay.
They're a Fortune 500 company. They're a solutions oriented company, industrial maintenance, manufacturing, construction. It's basically your big industry is the people that we service. So with PPE equipment, which is, a hot topic right now. PPE equipment, bolts, fasteners, nut screws, anything like that. That's kind of what I do every single day, 9 to 5.
Gotcha.
So that's a lot of fun because it's like, you see, you cut the bottom line of somebody's business by $100,000, with a service that you provide them, they're happy with you. You're adding value.
Yeah.
I know, like one of the things that I had a meeting with my district manager in a facility that we're looking to service, like take the service level up. And
Okay.
they did the same thing as another facility that we actually have like grown with that company significantly over the past couple of years. I've only been with the company a year, but I've been able to go back and see the sales history, and it's just like astronomical growth, 40% year over year. And so when he was talking to me about this, he's like, yeah, there's one glove that we put in a vending machine for this customer, saved them $75,000 the very first year, hard cost savings.
Wow.
Just by putting it in a vending machine. And so saving people money and getting them, stuff that they need, that's, that's adding value. I guess that's a core value of mine.
Sure.
Is just adding value. And so if I'm doing sales, if I'm working in the church, I want people to walk away with something. You've probably heard this phrase before, sticky. And it's like something that sticks.
Yeah.
And it's like, did I leave something that stuck with that person that day?
This is gonna be the best podcast freak ever. Because like I've heard your podcast, and I've heard you preach before too. I don't know if you remember. I came to my wife and I were visiting several times. Yep. I've kind of known that about you, that you want to bring value, and you've got like obviously a great head on your shoulders, but like I kind of thought it was more on the church side. So I've got all kind of theological. I'm ready to things. If we stop talking about any other stuff, I'm gonna be like, well, the theology stuff, but yeah, you're in the same world we are. It sounds like, somebody told me a story that there was an airline. It was a really big airline, and they changed the amount of peanuts that they gave away. It was like the free. If you heard about this, it was like they were giving like 12 peanuts away in a bag, and they lowered it to like 8 peanuts in a bag or something. And it saved them like $1.2 million or something crazy. And then another airline tried to do the same thing. It saved them like, less than 100,000 because the scale, like you're dealing with companies that, are probably just huge if you're able to save them that much by switching a glove or something. But I'm just now getting to that point with my small business where it's like last year we spent XYZ on financing, or we spent XYZ on there's a tax thing that we can do that'll save me 1 point something percent, or something like that. And now it's starting to add up. Coop is full time for the first time this year. Congratulations.
I'm
proud of you.
Boom. Yeah. But kind of looking at it, it's like, well, crap, if I had done that last year, it would have saved me $3,000 or something, so like making those, the adjustments in the beginning when this is like a side hustle, or you're like a really, really small business, some of that stuff, it's not worth the time to figure out. But like as you grow, there's a scale. Like when you scale it up, you have bigger problems. So
for sure.
So you're in the church and you work. Are you like planning to become a full-time preacher or a pastor, or you want to stay with Fastenal?
I mean, I would. That's obviously like a dream in my heart. I don't, I couldn't tell you when that's going to happen. Couldn't tell you how it's going to happen. Don't know.
But it is a goal.
Yeah. I would say it's a dream. It's a goal. I would love to pastor my own thing one day.
Like lead pastor Cole Burks.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think
I can totally see that. No, 100%.
Right now, it's like I moved to Knoxville to sit under Pastor Casey and absorb as much information and as much.
Quit, I'll come do it.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for that guy. Like he's completely changed my life. Like since I was a kid.
And it's like that. Just being, here for a year. It's like I've grown so much, but it doesn't like. I look back last year, and I like this time last year. And I look at myself, and I'm a totally different, like, just leader, being in close proximity. We talk pretty much every day. So,
we tell him Cody McCarson said hey. He won't know who I am, but just
I will. I'll tell him.
Maybe in 10 years. he and I'll talk, and I'll be like, "You remember this time I did a podcast with Cole Burks?" And then he said,
yeah.
So lead pastor Cole Burks. I can say that. So when I came, obviously I'm a Christian. We visited, and I was coming to hear Pastor Casey speak. Honestly, I didn't know you were speaking. And then you got up there, and I was so disappointed. I was like, "Crap!" We drove all the way to Knoxville. Which, by the way, for podcast listeners, crap, I said podcast. For the show listeners, we're actually only like 30 minutes from Cole. Yeah. Cole lives near Knoxville. We're in Atlanta. We drove up here, and then we're going to try to get together, and then forgot the logistics. And so we're Zoom calling instead of being in Purdue, which is dumb. But what was I saying? Oh, I heard you speak. It was like a deeply impactful message to me. You were preaching about how the children of Israel didn't get to see their destiny in the time frame that they were supposed to because they were disobedient, and I remember like saying that wasn't Pastor Casey, but I'm so glad we came. Like it was, it was impactful. So mission accomplished. Your leadership stuff on your side. So.
That's honestly like a word. Joshua 3:5, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow. You'll see the Lord do wonders among you. The whole context of that is just, it's crazy to me that Moses spent his entire life leading the children of Israel. And he gets to the end of his life, and it says, because you didn't treat me as holy in the wilderness, because you didn't treat me as holy in the wilderness. If you hear my dog bark, just ignore it.
If you have 11 children,
okay, nice.
That way on the other side of the door. So nice.
I was afraid you hear them screaming.
So, Moses, God speaks to Moses, and he says, I want you to go up on the mountain, and I want you to look at the promised land, and I want you to die on that mountain. I want you to look at everything that I promised you, but I never want you to walk in it. And it's like, I think so many people, a lot of times, even with business or with life in general, they have a vision of what they would like to see. And they have a vision of, their promised land, so to speak.
Sure.
But because they don't do, I would say that, the small things up front that maybe matter most, they never get to walk in that. And it's, I've seen that I have friends who are small business owners, and I've seen that with them. And it's just like, starting a business is hard. Right. It's hard work. 90% of businesses in America fail.
Especially in 2020.
Yeah.
Within the first 5 years, it's something crazy. It's like, I remember it's 95 or 98 or something. It's like within 5 years, you're not a business anymore.
Right.
Your job or, whatever.
And that's where I think long-term vision, vision for business, vision for a church, vision for anything. You do the same thing in the church, right? You'll see churches in 5 years from now won't be churches.
Sure.
And it's, it's because they don't have any vision. People attach themselves to vision.
Yeah.
What vision do churches look for? Like what, just a larger scale church? Or?
Sure. It's, it really just all depends on what God has called you to do. That's where I think vision really comes into play. And, the reality is there are people out there in the world somewhere looking to attach themselves to something bigger than themselves to make a difference beyond themselves.
Yeah.
And I think just in general, if you can get people to come to your church if you just have a good vision.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
It depends on where, you are in the world, what you're doing. But if that vision is gripping to people will move there and for no reason, right? They don't even have to have a good reason. They'll
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah. And so
what kind of dog is that?
He is a mix between an Irish wolfhound and a golden doodle.
He got a deep mark. That's a cool.
Yeah, he's big, man. He's big. He's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks he's like a lap dog.
Yeah, sure. That's
like
how it is.
Earlier, me and my wife were eating dinner, and he just jumps up on the table.
Yes.
Not a problem. 85-pound dog just jumps up on the table.
Oh yeah.
But funny. I guess what I was saying is like, vision, it good vision divides and attracts.
Sure.
And it's like good vision will weed out certain people, but it will also attract certain people.
Yeah.
And if you go like to these huge churches that you see, if you go to a city and you have a good vision, you're going to find, if you go to a city with 1 million people in it, you're going to find 10,000.
Sure.
Even maybe that
even if you got a vanilla message and it's very cutting. Yeah.
That want to align themselves with what you're doing.
Sure. Okay. So I can speak to that. So, my wife and I, we went to the ramp. We got married at 18, and then we stayed in our hometown for about a year. Maybe it's like a year and a half. It might have been 2 years. But we, at some point during that time, we knew we were supposed to go to the Ramp School of Ministry. And so we were young. I mean, we were 19, 20. We moved to Hamilton. So we're in Atlanta. We moved 4.5 hours away. Just uprooted it, and we knew we wanted to be a part of it. And that actually Pastor Casey was the the president, pastor of the he was like over that whole ministry.
Over
the whole school, and it like changed my life. It deeply the way I think about almost all things is entirely different than if I hadn't gone and done that. And it wasn't easy either. Like we moved there, we weren't high income at all, and then we spent every dime that we had getting there and didn't have a job lined up. We just knew we were going to go full time to the Ramp School of Ministry and learn about God and and the whole thing. And found out we were pregnant with our first kid within like a month of getting there. And so we were pregnant, broke as crap, and I will forever think of that time fondly because I think this my wife's a superhero, but like our marriage is like really, really good, and I think part of the reason why it is because of some of those earlier days at the Ramp, and so like we were able to get like a vision for our life and what we wanted to do, and there were times where like some of our listeners probably aren't even Christian, which is fine, but like. There were times where like prophets there or people that has like a prophetic gifting, they spoke words over us that are like I think of every single day. Like they're like written on like my whole purpose is like very specific. I knew it was for me and it's changed the whole course of my small business. I went to the Ramp School of Ministry thinking that business owners and money was evil. And like that just fell off of me there. Like this whole poverty mindset. Someone came up and during one of the sessions and was like, I have a prophetic word for you. You're going to be a business owner. You're going to be you're going to see trends and I have it written down, trends and opportunities in business that are 7 steps ahead of what everybody else is doing. You're going to be, like this whole word. And I was like, well, that can't be God, I don't believe in that. And so now here I am like, entrepreneurship and the whole thing. Like it's kind of, it was in my DNA the whole time, but because of my upbringing and some of the, the things, the ideas that I formed, early on, not having, maybe a father, like a strong pastor, like I just didn't know. And then the Lord corrected that and it's kind of, changed my whole life. So yeah. Absolutely. I think you start Colbert Church, whatever, wherever it's at. And I think people will definitely align themselves with that. So
I hope.
Where would it be? Where's this at one day?
I have no idea, man.
Yeah.
That's so far down the road that it's like that. I think it's so far down the road that it's just like, man, I don't even I have obviously the dream.
Sure.
But it's like I wanna just fully embrace this season that I'm in, so to speak.
I love that.
The journey.
Yeah.
The journey. Yeah.
I feel like, the little details, like, I know that may seem like a little detail. It's a little detail to me. There's some things that I think that you have to have right. And then the other things like the name of the church, things of that nature, the vision of the church, like name the church anything today, right? Like name it something cool, and young people are probably going to come. People are probably going to give money to it, brand it right. It's that part of it is like the business side of it is like, those are the little details to me. It's like, that doesn't matter. What really matters is that I have just an absolutely blazing hot devotional life. And it's like leading from that place is the most important thing to me. And, establishing relationships with people is the most important thing to me. I wouldn't care if like somebody else named my church. Like,
Sure.
that doesn't bother me. It's just like loving God and loving people equally as well is the big thing for me.
What do you think made you? Have you always been in the church? You always had this vision? So what led to that?
So, when I was in high school.
How old are you?
24.
24, okay.
Yeah, I turned 25 in February. So, so when I was in high school, senior year of high school, I met the Lord at a youth group in Hackleburg, Alabama. My friends, they all were like going there. And I remember there's this one dude, he transferred from Hackleburg to the school that I was in. And I had Spanish class. And sorry, I didn't have Spanish class.
Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Not our
sugar free.
It gives you wings.
Yeah. I can't remember. Spanish class.
This is a good insert. To our listeners, a Bolo orange Red Bull. You can buy it for like $2, and it's selling for like $16 to $20 a can. So
I sold 5 of them for $70 in the same day.
So okay, sorry. Anyways, go ahead. I want to hear Cole's story in high school.
So my friend, there was a guy. His name's Braden Schaefer. Shout out if he listens. He just started reading his Bible in the back of this classroom, and I was like, man, like, I had to see. There was an event that happened probably my junior year of high school that sent me on this like journey of actually meeting the Lord for real. I had a friend die in a car wreck, and he was very like involved in church. I'm not going to say that like he's the most godly person that ever walked the earth, but he was involved in church. And I remember there's this huge event, and I remember like the first time ever actually worshiping God. There was a guy there, and he was like preaching, and he was like just going crazy. His name's Saran Stacy. He played running back at Alabama. But he's an evangelist now, has an incredible story. But he was preaching, and he was talking about like being like prideful. And I just remember like, I am so prideful. Like, and I remember him saying these words, like, and I'll never forget it. He's like, some of you are so prideful, like you can't even open your mouth and sing to God. And I was like, that's me. And I just remember like going down this altar, repenting. And over the next year, there were just a course of events would happen. Braden reading his Bible in the back of the classroom. My friends going to this youth ministry and inviting me probably every Wednesday for a few months. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that crap. It's weird. And finally one night, dude, it just like, I was just like, I'm going to go and hang out and play basketball. And I went and had a powerful encounter with the Lord. I can still preach the message that was preached that night. Like I can still sing one of the songs. I remember the song I answered the altar call to. And so I met the Lord. And then from there, if I can just
what age? That's how old?
17.
17. Okay.
Yeah. If I can just be real with you, my friend actually roped me into like taking these lay minister classes. And so it was like, he was like, "Hey man, do you feel like you want to preach?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he was like, "All right, come on." And
after you got saved.
Yeah, this is after I got saved.
Yeah,
and
okay.
so I got roped into kind of taking these classes. And then I was like, man, the more I think about this, the more like I more than anything, I just want to be a leader in the church. Like I had no desire to be a pastor then, but now it's like I would love that. So
yeah,
that's kind of it. Like 17, have an encounter with the Lord, and I made it a mission, right, for every student in my high school to have the same encounter with Jesus that I did. And so I would go in this back room in my gym every day at lunch. I was an office aide, and my principal he was Christian, and he was like, he went to the same church as me. So he believed very similar. And I just told him, I was like, I'm going to skip lunch from now on, and I'm going to go pray for all the students in this school for 30 minutes every day at lunch in this back room. And I remember I was like, man, I just want to see I just remember like being in there, and Jason Upton, like I remember I had an iPhone 5C. And I had an iPhone 5C, and I played this is how funny this is. There was an app called MP3 Video Music, and it was an app where you could download free YouTube videos and play them.
So you're pirating Christian music. I love it.
And it was like, I was just like, I remember I told my youth pastor that. I was like, dude, you can get this app and do it for free. He's like, that's illegal. And I was like, I just didn't think anything about it.
The FBI pops in. You're like, no, I'm just praying for my high school.
Yeah, just praying for my high school, man. And so I would play. I remember like Jason Upton and some people like that in that back room every day. We had this big assembly. My friend preached. I give up and give this big altar call. Every student at my high school answers this altar call that was there. Wow. And so there was like 20 people absent that day in the whole school. I went to a super small school. So like 220 people in the whole school, 7th through 12th grade.
Wow.
So there was like 20 people absent that day. And then there was a couple people that were just like, I'm not going to that. And they set my principal made them sit in the he wasn't going to let them go to like a classroom. He made them sit in like the lobby of the gym where we were having this assembly. So they literally could hear everything. And so, that was like I think that was a moment where I was like, I was giving that altar call, and I just saw all of these kids like rush this gymnasium floor. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, I definitely want to do this forever. Like seeing these kids that have like hearts that are just hard as a rock and, just melt in the presence of God. Like I've seen these kids absolutely be hammered drunk and say things that you would never believe come out of a kid's mouth. And I just remember seeing them just weeping in the presence of God in a gym floor, playing Jason Upton over a Beats box. And it's just like, that was when I was like, the presence of the Lord is real. It's like really, really real. Yeah. And it's like, it's not just something that I was like emotional about a few months ago. It's like all of these kids in here feel the same way that I do right now.
Yeah.
And that was where I was like, to answer your question, make a short story long. That is where I realized like I want to do this forever.
Yeah, I can tell you're passionate about it because you don't like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
what Cole wants to talk about.
You should have me on podcast.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So Coop and I don't agree on everything. Not every issue.
Because you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm wrong, of course. That's why my marriage is so good, because my wife says stuff like that, and I'm like, I'm wrong.
Totally wrong. I'm an idiot.
Let me ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
I've heard people say, and I think probably the mainstream over the next 10 years is not going to be the conservative Christian view. And if it is a Christian view, it's definitely not going to be the conservative Christian view.
Sure.
What would you say to somebody who says those kids they had sort of maybe a religion shaped hole, or they had a purpose shaped hole, and you came in and you showed them that, and they felt that. Why not? What if a Hindu person had come and shared the purpose and the message of their faith, or maybe of Allah with the Muslims? Like if they had come in and beat you to it, maybe they would have had the same reaction, because those people have a deep need of religion or a deep need of purpose. What would you say to that?
So this is going to get interesting real quick.
We're here. Let's do it.
That's are you guys familiar with he's primarily a philosopher. He's wrote a couple theological books. He's the teacher of, sorry, not the teacher. He is the director of the Department of Religion at Notre Dame. His name's David Bentley Hart.
Maybe I have heard of this person.
Okay. So he's a beast, right? He's smarter than any human being that I know. So you even see this in the Old Testament. All of those gods, as you would say, are shadows of God, right? And you could even say, I could even go as far as to getting off into, God can use any of those things to get them to see him for who he is. And so what I mean by that is God created everything. And so there is a part of religious messages that carry a bit of truth to them.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a part of Hindu that carry a bit of truth to them. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, I am not saying that I am Hindu, or if you're watching the show, I'm not saying that I'm Hindu. But there are bits of truth in all religion.
Sure.
They are not Jesus, right? They are not Jesus, but the goodness in those religions can only come from God. Goodness can only come from God. And so if a Hindu person was to walk into a school and they preach this radical Hindu message, and it fills this piece of something in them, that's fine.
Sure.
But ultimately, the goodness of God is going to lead them to repentance, right? That's the Bible. And what I believe just about that in general is, it's like, sure, like there's no reason why I should be able to preach what I preach and that person can't preach what he preaches, right? Those, people who are very conservative would probably throw me under the bus for that one, but it's like,
yep.
I believe that God is in the middle of all of that.
Each individual's process of finding the full truth. You mean?
Yeah, it's like C.S. Lewis said. Like, I could get into some controversial stuff about C.S. Lewis, but it's like C.S. Lewis said, "Not all who wander are lost."
Sure.
And the context of that is like, everyone is on a journey to come to know Jesus.
Yeah.
And they're somewhere on that journey. C.S. Lewis was a universalist, by the way.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of people who quote C.S. Lewis who don't know that he was a universalist.
Didn't he have some funky views on the traditional view of hell too? Didn't he?
Yeah. He definitely had some funky views on the traditional view of hell.
Can you define universalist?
Yeah. So a universalist, there's three, I guess you could say, strands of universalism, right? Number one is the most radical, which I think this version of universalism is heretical, which is there is no hell and everyone goes to heaven. The other one is that there is a heaven and there is a hell, and hell is for sin, hell is for evil. People don't go there because it's for sin and evil, and people go to heaven. And then there's another strand of universalism, which is mainly referred to as like there's all kinds of like streams of universalism. I'm just giving you the three that I'm most familiar with. The other one is called ultimate redemption, which basically is just you believe that God is going to come and redeem all things. And no matter if they're in hell, if they're in heaven, if they're on earth, he's coming to redeem all things back to its original intention. And so there's three main like types of that. And so C.S. Lewis was, I can't define what C.S. Lewis was out of those three, right? It's hard to do that just reading some of his stuff. But basically, universalism summed up as a whole is that you believe that everyone is going to heaven, one way or the other. In a gist, defined that would mean that when I'm saying that would mean like the majority of the South will resonate with what I just said. Probably most people on this podcast or on this show will resonate with what I just said about universalism. Like they believe everybody's going to heaven. So C.S. Lewis believed that. He believed that everyone was going to heaven. And so I'm not saying that I am a universalist. I think Charles Finney said this. He says, I have forever ceased to try to stereotype my theological views, because to do so is to claim that you have God figured out.
Sure, you've arrived at a certain...
Yeah. And it's like, I think truth is progressive, right? And so, to answer that question, those kids in that room, truth is progressive.
Yeah.
God in his goodness, not his sovereignty, but his goodness. God in his goodness is so good, right? That in spite of the fractured truth that they may be receiving about God, in spite of that, will still be himself.
Sure.
And to those people. And so, I think those people that are Hindu, Muslim, all of those people, whatever you want, whoever you want to throw in that category, Buddhist, whatever.
No.
I think when you're on that journey, you're ultimately, you believe in an inferior God, right? You believe in an inferior version of God than Jesus. And there's no way that,
or incomplete.
Yeah, an incomplete God, really.
Yeah.
And there's no way that even when talking about goodness, right, that you could compare anybody to the God of the Bible, or the God of the Bible interpreted correctly. And there's no way that you could compare those two and say the God of Buddha is better than Jesus. It's just not happening, right? And it's like, mainly because there's all sorts of stuff that you could get into, if you want to get technical about it. But I found this, right? God will reveal himself to people when there are people who show up who look like they're Christian, right? The Bible says this: the glory of God is man fully alive. And so, did I say the Bible says that? I can't remember if I said that. The Bible doesn't say that. Sorry. That's a famous quote.
In my head, I was like, okay.
That's a famous quote, right? That's a famous quote. The glory of God is man fully alive. And so the Bible does say this, though. The Bible does say in 2 Corinthians 5 that Old things have passed away. All things have become new. And we are now ambassadors of Christ. We are that meant a lot to me at one point in my life, and I'll explain that in a second. We are ambassadors of Christ. We represent Christ. We are the picture of God. The reason why that meant so much to me as a point in my life is I was an ambassador my first 2 years in college. I was an ambassador for the college. And I remember they used to say this phrase all the time. You are the host and the hostess of Bevel State Community College, which meant you host people who come on campus, but you host what we believe off campus as well. And so you are the greatest recruiting tool that we have. And so be sure that you represent us well.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, that meant so much to me. That scripture, you are an ambassador for Christ. Actually, I was my freshman or sophomore year of college. That's when I really like zoned in on what that meant. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be a host of the presence of God and take that with me wherever I go.
So we're small business owners. We're a small business podcast or small business show talking about that world. I can testify, or I can, I can give my views on like the progressiveness, I guess is how you'd say that, the progressive nature of like my understanding of my faith, and like me being able to practice like the practical tenets of my faith. We're both Christians. We're both from a very similar, sect of Christianity. Like I know, like I hear you, like you're speaking, and I'm like right there. Like I hear you. I am so much more successful in some of my pursuits because of my faith. Like just 100%. Like you're a faith guy, so like I haven't, like, with the Amazon business, I'm able to make long bets with what I'm doing because I've already prayed about it, and I've already, I've just kind of established in myself like this is what I'm supposed to do, and I think that the average entrepreneur doesn't have that, and I'm not super familiar with other faiths, and maybe that, maybe there's something, some sort of thing there, but like with me, like my relationship with the Lord has been like revolutionary to my business endeavors, because it's like you start to do something, or you start to chase after a business model, or start to build whatever business. If you haven't fully decided in yourself that it's what you're going to do, and or fully decided like through prayer and devotion, like this is what I'm supposed to do. This is like my purpose. Like this is what I'm settled on. I prayed about it. And like you start to hear these other voices, and it's like, you're full of crap. Or like, we run the Bolo group on Instagram. Like somebody else, every once in a while. It's not as often now, but maybe it'll get worse. I don't know. So get bigger, but like people will criticize you, or laugh at something you said. Like Coop chomped me off a while back about like somebody was like, he's like, why do you care? Why do you even care? And I would say that to someone in business, if your business life is amazing, but your faith life isn't, I think at some point you're going to see a crumble in your whatever empire you're building. Like if you don't have that meaning of life foundation figured out, and you build a 6 or 7 or 8 figure business on top of it, you can collapse under that, because what's the point? Like, what's the point of getting so big and so successful, but then, Toby Mac gain the whole world, but lose your soul kind of thing. Like you have that success, but then your marriage fails because you didn't live by, you didn't live in truth, or you didn't like whatever. So I hear everything you're saying. I want to hear what Matt thinks. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, we talk about faith, and you're the second person we've had on. Like, I'm gonna bring my friends on. We're gonna we agreed we're going to do 50 episodes. Scott Howell, which is a friend of mine with a really successful podcast. You may know Scott Howell. Have you? No. Hey, he's from Hamilton. But anyways, he said I had lunch with him and I was like, what's the advice you'd give somebody? He said, you got to do 50 episodes, commit to doing 50 episodes or don't start. And so that's what we've kind of committed to do, is doing the 50 episodes. But I said, I'm going to bring my friends on. And we brought another one of my friends on, Tyreek. Shout out Tyreek. He's one of our other 4 subscribers on YouTube. But he starts preaching the gospel. Just like we sat down and he's just like, for God so loved the world. Ha! Like he's just like straight. Yeah. And I love that about my, kind of my circle and other people that I'm attracted to. But not everybody's Christian. Not everybody is,
right.
Of that mindset, and that sort of thing. What are your thoughts? Where's your head at? You hear me talk about the stuff I talk about, and then that, like, does the idea of Cole starting a church, like Feet decided to start a church in Rockmart or in Arte, like going and like being a part of that mission, or like where's your head at? Like what?
Well, I don't really like to speak on religion. I'm not religious at all. Like I've tried Christianity, all that. So I don't like to speak on it, but I do like seeing people like Cody and you be so passionate about it, to be like, you put all your faith in it. Which is amazing to me. Like I can't do that. I think it's more, for me, my purpose was it like self truth, like finding out what you are and how to use yourself to the full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like I focus on like motivational speeches, meditation, just things to make yourself better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, like he said, build a foundation on faith. I build a foundation on me.
Yeah.
To make myself, I don't know how to explain.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah.
I don't really care about who believes in what, or somebody's Buddhist or Hindu or whatever.
Like, get somebody who's like straight Buddhist on here. Like I would love to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
I don't know any Buddhists. I
think any other religion is just, it's cool to see what they believe in. Everybody has their own different beliefs. Like Buddhists, they have like they're reincarnated, ain't that?
I don't know.
Something like that. I think that's amazing. Like, how do you believe you come back as a cat or a dog or something like that? I think that's so cool.
Insert Gary V quote.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not reincarnation. This is what he said. I'm not saying there's not reincarnation, but if there is, I think you're coming back as a shoe, or you're coming back as a tree, or D-Rock sneaker. You're not coming back as a human. And it's like, you're so lucky to be human.
You only have one life, so make it the best.
I'm living that way. Did you hear my kid just yell like a Spartan warrior? Did you hear that?
You can't hear him at all?
Good.
It's like a war zone.
That means our Yeti blue microphone.
Right. I think that's to go back to what you said, like anybody who is building anything, right? Their belief system ultimately has to come to somewhere, and then it also has to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like where it comes from and where it goes, like ultimately.
It's the smartest thing I've ever heard. Brilliant. Did you come up with that just
now? That's off the dome. It's like your belief system, it really does. It has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to go to a logical conclusion. And, what I say all that to say this, I believe every belief system in some way comes from God. And I believe every belief system leads back to God. And so even with the most corrupt belief system, the goodness inside of the belief system is just a little seed that could lead to something better. So,
yeah. I think the truest evil that we can see is someone who doesn't care about the truth. Like not even like talking about Christianity. Like if I'm talking to a straight Buddhist and we have them on, first of all, I respect the crap out of like no disrespect. It's nothing like that. But I have friends and family who don't want the truth. They're kind of either self-absorbed or they're absorbed in their addiction or absorbed in their whatever. They don't want the real truth, and that's the thing that terrifies me about someone's soul or someone's faith journey or knowledge or whatever you want to call it. But I believe that, obviously I'm a Christian. I believe that in God's goodness, if somebody's looking for the truth, there's no way that the God that I'm intimate with and like have devotional prayer with, there's no way that he wouldn't reveal himself. And so even if it takes 40 years, I think, longer, like people live longer than 40 years, even if it takes years and years and years, like I think that you can start to build. But my thing for me is, most people don't know about this about me, but I fasted Ramadan. You heard it that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was like a dinosaur. I fasted Ramadan with the Muslims when I was in my early 20s. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I had this whole crisis. I was like, I'm born in the Bible Belt. I'm born in the South in Georgia. My mother, who is not a practicing Christian now, by the way, but was Christian. Her mother was Christian. What are the chances that I'm a Christian and that's the truth? Like, what are the chances that what I was born into is just the truth? Like I had a real hard time with that. And so I explored, the one that I really was attracted to was Islam. I went religion shopping, if you will. And like, I wanted to experience other things, and I needed to prove that for myself because, and this is what I say, I like to say this, if Islam had been the truth, like if I had like discovered like what I've discovered in my personal faith in Christianity, if I discovered that in Islam, I would be praying to the east or whatever 9 times a day, and I would be giving whatever I can't think of the word, but I would be a pillar of Islam guy, and I would be a Muslim, and I would be proud of it too, because wherever the truth is, like there's only one truth. Like I don't see a world where there's like interpretive truth on matters of religion, where it's like
I believe everybody has their own truth.
I know, but don't make I know you do.
Everybody has their own truth. You can't just, there's only one truth. There can't just be one truth.
But the problem with that is I believe that if someone doesn't get saved or they don't walk in the truth of the Bible, that they're not going to live as fulfilling of a life, and they're possibly going to die and go to hell.
That's what you believe.
I know, but that's why my truth can't be the same as somebody else's truth. Like one of us has to be wrong. That's what I believe, and that's offensive. Like what I just said, like I'll be canceled. We're canceled. Our show's already canceled. But that's what I believe, and that's my, that's what my faith,
and it's one of the it's very delicate, right? Because people get offended, right, at the thought of even being wrong.
We're canceled. We just got canceled.
Yeah.
Are you back?
We just got censored.
We got too deep, my guy. We got too deep.
We got censored.
We got parlor.
We got way too deep. About everybody has their own truth. Everybody has their own depiction of religion. Whether you're Christian, Jewish, or whatever, everybody has their own idea of Christian, of religion. Nobody has the same idea. The only thing in common is they believe in that God.
Yeah, I like. There's a quote out there. It says, "Everybody is a theologian."
Sure.
Everybody has something they believe about God, whether you believe in Him or not. That's something.
I believe it's a mystery. I believe nobody knows.
Okay.
You don't know what happens when you die. You could just be grass.
What a journey to figure out the mystery, though.
Yeah, it is. That's the purpose. The purpose is the journey.
I think that there is just as much chance that you're right that I'm right. But
like 60-40.
The thing that I've put in my heart is I'm a decently smart guy. I'm an okay guy at deducing reality, like what's really going on, and I'm gonna spend my life figuring out what that truth is. And if at some point we get off this and Twitter sends me an update on my phone and says you can't be Christian anymore, and here's why, and it makes sense, then I might go that way. Like but what I've experienced so far and the deeply personal experiences that I've had and the research I've done, like that's what I believe. So, anyways, all right, off of religion. All right, we're gonna tell people to fast forward to this part. How far are we in?
55 minutes.
55. Holy crap! We've been talking for an hour. That's what happens when you get Christians on a Zoom call. What do you think about? Obviously, Jeff Bezos is just mega rich. Elon Musk, mega rich. Not talking about those guys, or maybe we are. What do you think about wealth in the pocket of? So you're a youth pastor. You're religious. Wealth and growth in finances through honest business. What's the view on that? Because I think some people see what we want to do. Like we have some really, really ambitious goals. Like we're growing the Bolo group, and by the way, we're charging way too. Like we're giving an amazing deal on that. We're growing our own business with the Amazon business. We have some other stuff, but we want to do some other stuff that's just could blow up and be really successful. What's your view for a successful business owner? Is wealth bad? All that to say is wealth bad?
No, wealth's not bad. Just in general, right? I think it's funny that you asked me this. It's like the pursuit of wealth, just in the Jewish culture. I don't know if you know this. Like in the Jewish culture, the pursuit of wealth is good.
Yeah.
And it's and because I think in Christianity,
steward, right?
Yeah, right.
That's the whole thing about being a good steward. Like that's
even in like our worlds, right? Like I'm not trying to be wealthy because I want a lot of nice stuff, right? That's going to be part of it for my kids and their kids and their kids, hopefully.
Sure.
But I want to be wealthy because there are people who need me to be wealthy, right? What I mean by that is there are people who may be born behind the 8 ball.
Sure.
That are going to need me to maybe come along and put a couple $1,000s in their pocket one day. Wealth is not evil. I think most of the time when people are like, oh, these evil, wealthy people, right? Like these people are evil and they're wealthy, right? They shop at Walmart. They get on Amazon, right? They go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
They are like, ooh, evil, wealthy people who don't give any money. They don't know how much they give.
Sure.
Yeah. Right? They don't know how much they give to charity. It's like I love when people say, I'm in a group text with a few guys and we talk about this all the time. It's always easy to say what you would do with money you don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's it's always easy. It's also always easy to say what you would do with somebody else's money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I was as wealthy as Jeff Bezos,
right?
I would do all of this stuff. You don't know what you would do.
Yeah. It always makes me so mad when I see Facebook posts on people trashing Bezos and Elon Musk. Like Jeff Bezos slummed in the 90s, built Amazon in a garage because that's his baby. He's passionate about building this Amazon, and then it just freaking exploded. There's no way he thought he'd be a billionaire in 2000. He was just building it because that's something he's passionate about. But now that he has it, he's evil because the equivalent of him giving $500,000 to charity is the equivalent of us giving $20. Yeah. But he's a bad guy because he got all that money.
And even maybe you were too generous with those numbers right there, right? It's like it's like I remember reading something the other day. It's like buying a $5 cup of coffee is equivalent to Jeff Bezos spending $20 million.
Yeah.
And it's like like you said, right? Bum in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? Just broke. But saw a need.
Yeah.
Met the need for millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Millions of people. I order off Amazon.
Yeah,
right?
and now they feel like since he has all that money, he's supposed to take care of America because he got billions of dollars now.
It's like I saw something the other day, and it's so funny. It's so funny, like seeing people. It's so funny seeing Facebook math. It's like the other day it was like Jeff Bezos is worth $200 billion, and it was like he could give everybody like some crazy like amount of $1 million, right, in America,
Right.
and like no, that's not the way that works, because like it's like say if he has $327 billion, what they were trying to say is Jeff Bezos could give everyone in America $1 billion, and it's like, no, he could give every person in America $1. And it's like, the same people saying like the stuff that you're saying, right? They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. If they had $1 million, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Much less 200 billion.
Oh yeah,
10 grand. Yeah,
10 grand for some people.
People getting a $1,200 or $600 stimulus check and going straight to Walmart. They ain't going to the homeless shelter and donating.
They're buying from a car in the store on Amazon.
Yeah, it's like you're exactly right, man. It's like they get a $600 or $1,200 or $2,000, however much stimulus you got, right? And they're taking it and they're going to Best Buy.
Shout out to my 5 kids.
Brand new TV.
Yeah, and it's just like you said. It's so funny to see people have very big opinions about things that they know very little about.
Yeah,
and it's coming from business owners, I'm sure. Like, you probably feel some of the same pain that Jeff Bezos felt starting a business.
100%. I think myself that way too. Like I don't hope to one day make a certain amount of money and then quit. Like I've got dreams the same way that I imagine that guys like that were building something like that. I'm the same DNA. Like 100%. I feel the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like, people, I think in America, just in general, wealth, they don't fundamentally understand the purpose of wealth, and they don't understand, just in general. I got into an argument with a guy one time. He said, he heard a billionaire say this, which is funny, right? He said that he heard a billionaire say this. If you make $1 million, he used this word, it's inevitable that you make 100 million. And I'm like, no. I was like, I completely disagree. I was like, Mark Cuban said something similar to that. I was like, yeah, if you got game like Mark Cuban, then you'll make $100 million. But not if you're us, like not if you're me. Like, I don't know how to turn $1 million into 100 million right now. Maybe I will one day, but not at the moment.
Right.
And so,
but it's somehow the idea that it's easier to get more wealthy once you're well. Yeah.
It's like go turn $1 into 20. Like, bingo. Yeah. It's like, how hard is that? Cool. Multiply that now. Yeah. Multiply that by how hard that is, and you'll see. I've done this illustration for someone the other day. I was trying to explain to them the difference between $1 million and $1 billion, and it's like like they're not even in the same stratosphere, right? Just because they have alien on the end doesn't mean. I was like, how long do you think it would take you to count to 1 million? And they were like, oh, I don't know. It's like 11 days, right? It would take you 11 days to count to 1 million. If you count to 1 billion, it takes you 33 years.
Wow.
And it's like, people don't understand that. It's like people don't understand how big of a difference that is. It's like 11 days is like February, right? like you just count until February and you're at 1 million. You count to 1 billion and you're in 2054.
That's crazy. Well, let me ask you this. So you've spent a lot of time with Hope Unlimited, the church that you're pastor at, youth pastor. You've seen the branding, you've seen the growth strategy and the stuff that goes on in the in the background, which I know you guys have so much meat on the bone that you don't have to do a ton of that, I imagine. But like seeing the church growth and being a part of that, aside from possibly doing something in the church, down the road, like, is there a business that you're interested in or a business that you want to be, a part of or start or, partner in or whatnot at some point in your life?
Potentially, yeah. I think one of the things that you said, I think, was super cool. And I've actually made a couple connections over the past year just in this world. I think maybe like a business that I would like to start one day. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like I have an exoskeleton in my mind of how it could happen. I'm just going to need to get.
I thought you were going to talk about exoskeletons. I was like, what is this business about?
And so, but I would like to see, I would like to either be a part of, invest in, or I say invest in this, not really looking for a return. So it's not an investment. Give to church consulting companies.
Oh, okay.
Just because they help people kind of just get their crap together. Right. Yeah. But it's like the crap that nobody wants to talk about. They guide you through those things to talk about them.
Huh.
And so it's like your strategy, who you're reaching, what you're doing, all of that, that comes down to science, right? It comes down to where you live, what you do, what kind of church are you, who do you attract, who do you looking to attract, how much money do you have, right? Yeah. It comes down to all different sorts of types of things.
Yeah, sure.
That you wouldn't even believe. And so I am in that world. I like that, right? My job every day, we have targets. Like I have targets on my board at work right now that I want to see. I want to land some business, right? I want to land some business. Like, how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
Right? What am I going to do to get there? And it's like, whose phone number? And it's like,
I have that.
Yeah. And it's like, one of the things I even like, I picked up on this today. Sometimes, there are times where I think people, if I can just get real, who are slackers, let their foot off the gas a little bit.
Sure.
And it's not a time. There's a difference between letting your foot off the gas and stopping, so to speak. There are times where you need to cruise. There are times where you need to go at a 50 speed. There are times where you need to go at 100 miles an hour. And there are times where you just got to adjust your pace.
Sure.
Right? I was thinking today, I went to a facility today. I'm trying to get in this facility, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have any business currently there at that facility. They called and ordered something. It was a $20 item at a business that has, I cannot even tell you how much spend that they potentially have. Mm-hmm. We could potentially have with them. I pulled up to the gate, and one of the things we do is PPE. And I was like, man, I don't even have a contact here. Like, I just know where to go to drop stuff off. The lady back there at the desk won't give me any contacts, all of that stuff. And I pull up to this little window, and it says there are 2 phone numbers. One of them is an environmental health specialist manager, right? Mm-hmm. That stands for safety. The other one is an HR manager. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this environmental health safety specialist, right, is the guy that I need to talk to.
Sure.
His phone number is right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking anybody if I can call him. I'm writing down his phone number and calling him.
Sure.
Right? And it's like,
yeah,
it's like I'm going to the source. And I think a lot of times, like in business, whatever you're doing, just put your foot on the pedal sometimes. Like sometimes it's just like, it's time to go. Like it's go time. It's the beginning of the year. Sure. I know, like, just for people listening, I am cutting a and this is risky, right? Like this is a risk that I'm taking, but it's a risk that I've like discussed with, I would say, my manager and other people. I'm cutting $40,000 or $50,000 account on my book of business right now because I believe there's more potential out there. They take up too much of my time.
Wow.
Right. And it's like, sometimes it's like you have to cut some stuff before you can get some other stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, sometimes you have to, I mean, it's the concept of even like, you're not religious, you don't read the Bible, but John 15, right? He'll come and trim back the branches so that there can be more fruit.
Sure.
And sometimes you got to trim back the branches and you just got to get after it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like any type of business, I think that is adding value with a little bit of risk to it, I would be interested.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I think absolutely the business side of the church, like I know I have friends, like close friends, and I have other friends that I know that are pastors or that are in the church leadership and amazing at it. Like the product in the business world, so to speak, is them preaching and like their stuff, like it's amazing. Like it's like A+, like it's like amazing.
Yep.
But their distribution and their marketing and their processes for different things, like it's just the worst. Like it's just terrible. And so they don't, you don't see those churches grow, even though like it's amazing. Like it should, like I think a consulting, if you went after that and like had like a real intention of bringing value and growth, like I think you could blow some churches up. Teaching, just like basic stuff. It's just like, I don't know. You get into that. Another idea I have, almost every church I've ever been to or been a part of, and we need to cut this thing. We've been on here too long. Is that a thing? Have we been on here too long? Is that a children's church? If somebody made like a Ryan's World children's church setup, it's just like interactive and great and like high quality, I think you could put the production on every week at your church probably. Yeah. And then I think you could broadcast it and charge $125 to maybe $450 or something like that a month or a week or something, probably a month. You could have a subscription-based business that just blows up overnight because there's a huge need. And most churches have the money. They don't have the people, or they don't have the, the passion or whatever for them to go in and do the high quality stuff. But like, if you could outsource, like have somebody that's doing that and then outsource it for like a monthly, something, you could blow up overnight. Like you could just call it, like you could just literally just call churches all day. Hey, we're doing this thing. Here's how it is. Try it out for 30 days. Everybody would say yes. Almost all of them would say yes. I think.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think one of the things, like that, applies to business and church or whatever, right? Really, you only, like when you fail, like if you fail to the point, like you fall as high and as strong as your systems are, right? So it's like your systems, like if you fail, it's because there's a flaw somewhere. And it's like, however good your systems and structures are, they're going to be where you land.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd agree with that. In my business, absolutely.
Sometimes feel like the best way to go because it'll put you in a different position.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like instead of doing it the other way, I need to put the boxes this way, or I need to print the, like whatever, or sourcing, like whether, That's
how it was. Like with Amazon, you need certain distributors to get you ungated in certain products to sell products. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to a manufacturer where they directly make the toys. So I reached out to them to try to, get them to supply me the toys. I just kept getting no. And then they sent me a thing that was like, no, we can't sell to you, but these people can. Mm-hmm. So like I kept hearing no for the first 4 or 5 times, but I kept, and then they gave me.
That's interesting. Like you said you kept hearing no. There's a book out there. It's called Never Split the Difference.
Yeah.
It's by FBI hostage negotiator Chris Fox. And he says the first thing that you look for in negotiation is you're getting a no. That's what you want. You want a no. Because when you have a no, then you know what you can go on the opposite end of the spectrum and say, I can't do this, but I can do this. So it's like your situation. I can't buy it from you, but I can buy it from you.
Yeah.
Because I do sourcing at work too, right? Like that's part of my job. Like a customer wants a product, I have to call the vendor, right?
Wow.
I have to source it out for them.
Did we work together somehow? Maybe like I don't know.
It's like
you're $40,000 a year client to get it. Is there something that we can buy and resell?
Yeah.
Y'all have products, like y'all have the actual products.
Yeah, I mean we have products, right? Like we have.
Can you like email?
Take the live off. Cancel the podcast.
Yeah, we have all sorts of products, right? Like tools, all sorts of stuff like that. And so that's yeah. It's a great like you get so much experience with my job. You have to sell, you have to source, you have to manage inventory, you have to, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, it's a fun job, man. It's fun.
I'm gonna reach out after we need to talk about that. Maybe we can.
Dude, I can get you approved for an account, man, and you can buy whatever, right? We can sell it to you for
big because I mean, if we find stuff that we love there, so we have 60 plus people in our group now that pay to be part of. We basically say, buy this, it's $10, you can resell it for $30, and like in that kind of thing. Maybe we find some crazy good. I don't know if we'd share it all.
So like, what's the MOQ? The minimum order.
There depends on what it is, right? Like
enough fish.
Yeah, I mean, like if you order it, if you order like a tool, right? There's no minimum order quantity on that. There's no, if you order like safety equipment, right? I know like a big thing right now is mask, right? KN95 mask. Like I have boxes of them sitting in the warehouse.
Been there, done that.
Yeah,
we should have met you a year ago.
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer, right? Like, I mean, stacked to the ceiling, and it's just looking to sell it. So,
right. Huh. Yeah. Well, that's crazy, man. Maybe that's a kingdom connection. Who knows? Well, man, thank you so much for coming on. The show. If we can ever add value some way on on your side, let us know. I'd love to talk about I don't know, Buddhism or something.
Yeah, we can do it. Here's my dog.
There it is. Well, okay. So to follow you, your podcast is the Cole Hard Truth, and then your Instagram is just Cole Burks, right?
I think so. That's it.
Okay.
And there'll be content. There'll be content that I'm going to put out on the Cole Hard Truth probably after Inauguration Day, and so there's a few political hot takes in there, so that's fun.
I'm eager to hear that. I have some political hot takes too, but that's probably for a different day.
All right, man.
Cole, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good night, man.
You too.
Peace.